What I'd like to talk about here is climate change. Natural climate change versus anthropogenic climate change. Anthropogenic climate change means caused by humans, and that's basically what you hear about in the news. Natural climate change is caused by the interaction of the lithosphere, the hydrosphere, the atmosphere, and the biosphere. And that tends to take place over long periods of time, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of years. Anthropogenic climate change is taking place over decades, which is why it's a worry. But what I want to show you here is what natural climate change looks like in the rock record. So we've looked at the lower Adair, which was a bright red, high-energy fluvial environment. We've looked at the upper Adair, which was a low-energy lacustrine environment. What we have here, and it was pale yellow, what we have here is sort of an in-between colored rock. So color is important here. The bright red of the lower Adair indicated a lot of oxidation. Oxidation is what happens when you combine metal and oxygen. If you've ever seen metal rust, it tends to happen in the presence of water. That's because water is H2O, two oxygens. So whenever you have oxidation, you tend to have a lot of water, and it causes that bright red, rusty color. The pale yellow of the upper Adair is showing that the environment dried out, that now we don't have oxidation going on. And I'm standing in front of a kind of transition in between. If we use the principles of superposition, the lower Adair is down here, the upper Adair is here, and this layer is in between. So we're younger than the lower Adair and older than the upper Adair. And the color is sort of in between. It's kind of a pinky color. If you look up at the top there, you will see some very indicative banding. We have rust red and we have green. The rust red, again, indicates oxidation, probably a lot of water going on. But in between, there's layers of green. Green in a sedimentary environment tends to indicate a reducing environment. Reducing means the opposite of oxidation. Very little oxygen is going on. And they're happening every other year or season, something like that, because you've got red, green, red, green. So the environment is clearly changing here. Another indication is the thickness of the bedding. When we looked at the lower Adair, the beds tended to be thick. That's because there was a lot of energy involved. For sediments to settle out, the energy needs to it has to be at a point where it can drop the sediments. If there's a lot of energy going on, like a fluvial environment, it's churning those sediments up, and they can't layer out into nice flat little layers. On the other hand, the upper Adair had very dainty little layers that were only the thickness of my pinky fingers. So that was very much lower energy. The environment here is much lower energy. You can see that the layers have gotten much thinner. And this is a perfect example of natural climate change as expressed in sedimentary rocks.